In a narcissistic relationship, the deepest shame often doesn't come from the obvious cruelty. It comes from what happens to your hope. A dream you once held in your hands, slowly turned into evidence that you are unrealistic, naive, not built for more, until you feel foolish for having dared to imagine it. Have you ever shared something tender, a project, a business idea, a small creative spark, and for a moment, they seem genuinely proud of you? For a heartbeat, you feel seen again, your ideas feel real, your future feels possible. And then, later, they turn that same dream against you, using the hope they once encouraged, to leave you feeling ridiculous, small, like nothing good could ever come out of you. If you've ever wondered why someone would help you build a dream, only to tear it down later, this reflection is for you. In Anna's story, this moment doesn't begin with a fight. It begins with a small idea, a business she could start, something that belongs to her. She holds it gently, like the last unbroken piece of herself. She spends days rehearsing how to bring it up. And then, one evening, when the silence feels heavier than her fear, she finally lets herself speak. "There's something I've been thinking about," she says, voice soft, almost apologetic. She braces for the eye roll, the sigh, the dismissive joke. But it doesn't come. Instead, David looks interested, really interested. He leans in. "Okay," he says. "Tell me." Her shoulders drop by a fraction. She opens her laptop, hands trembling, and shows him the rough outline she's been working on. Numbers, notes, a name she's secretly fallen in love with. He gives her his full attention, asking questions, offering suggestions. They sit together for hours as he types out a simple plan, reorders her notes, even tweaks the name a little, as if he's helping her perfect it. "I think it has potential," he says finally. Something unfurls in her chest, relief, pride, a small pulse of joy. For the first time in a long time, she feels capable, intelligent, creative. "You're smarter than you think," he adds. "You just doubt yourself too much." His words land like sunlight on cold skin. That night she lies in bed, mind humming, not with anxiety, but with possibility. Maybe I misjudged him. Maybe he really does want me to grow. Maybe we're finally on the same team. In the morning, the air feels different. David is distant, quiet. He doesn't look up when she enters. "What's wrong?" she asks softly. He sighs. A sharp, contemptuous sound that slices straight through her. "Anna, I don't know what you were thinking with that business idea." Her stomach dips, that familiar unease creeping back in. "What do you mean?" He laughs under his breath, a small, dismissive sound. "I said it seemed promising. I didn't say it actually made sense." The room tilts. "But we worked on it together," she says, voice thinning. "Yeah," he replies. "And now that I've looked at it properly, it's ridiculous." His voice gains momentum, mocking, impatient, slicing deeper with each word. "Honestly, I was just trying to be supportive. But you got carried away. You always do this, Anna. You latch onto some fantasy, and then I have to be the grown-up." The softness of the night before evaporates, as if it never existed at all. The very qualities he praised yesterday, her creativity, her ideas, her initiative, are now twisted into proof that she's childish, impulsive, out of touch. Heat rises in her cheeks. Shame floods her body, hot, heavy, humiliating. Her dream doesn't just fall, it shatters. Not because the idea was bad, but because the person she trusted used her hope as a stage to prove he was right about her all along. Have you ever lived through a version of this? One day they're telling you, "You're brilliant, you could really go far, I'm proud of you." And then, when you start to believe it, when you take a step toward that future, they tell you, "Be serious, don't embarrass yourself. You're not cut out for that." They position themselves as the only one who really sees reality. Narcissists rarely crush your dreams by accident. What looks like mixed signals is often a sequence. They encourage you just enough to watch you light up, then take a hammer to the very thing that made you glow. Because to a narcissist, your dream is never just a dream. It's a measure of your independence, a glimpse of who you are without them, and the threat to the control they're trying to keep. If you grow, you need them less. If you succeed, you see your own capability more clearly. If you feel proud of yourself, their grip loosens. So they build you up, briefly, because it gives them 1. Information, what you care about most. 2. Leverage, something they can later mock, minimize, or logically dismantle. 3. Power, the power to decide when you're allowed to feel hopeful. That way, even the collapse happens on their terms. The supportive phase isn't kindness, it's data collection. The cruel phase isn't random, it's timed for maximum impact. After that conversation, something quietly rearranges inside of Anna. She doesn't just doubt the business idea. She doubts herself. That's the deeper wound. You don't just lose the dream. You lose a little more trust in your own judgment. The next time an idea comes, you hesitate. You talk yourself out of it before anyone else has to. Don't be silly, you tell yourself. Don't embarrass yourself again. Don't give them something to use against you. Their voice slowly moves inside your own. You become the one who talks yourself down, shrinks your own ambitions, abandons your ideas halfway through, not because you're lazy, but because your mind now links hope with harm. So you begin to play safe, staying in roles smaller than your capacity, talking yourself out of applying or creating, aiming for what feels acceptable rather than what feels true. You might call this realism, but often it isn't. It's conditioning. It's what happens when your nervous system has learned that every time you step toward yourself, someone is waiting to knock you back down. So you do what so many survivors do. You don't just put the dream away. You put away the part of yourself that came alive when you imagined it. You tell yourself, I'm not that type of person. You call yourself unrealistic, silly, words you did not invent, but have learned to repeat. On the surface, life goes on. Inside, something important goes dim. Over time, you're not just afraid of failing, you're afraid of wanting. Maybe you recognize yourself here, not just in the big dreams that were torn down, but in the smaller places too. The outfit you were excited to wear until someone smirked, the course you thought of taking until they called it a waste of time, the job application you almost sent until they listed all the ways you'd fail. If this is landing uncomfortably, I want to say this as clearly as I can. You did nothing wrong by wanting more for your life. The problem was never your hope. It was the way your hope was handled by someone who felt threatened by it. People who are secure in themselves don't need to tear down your dreams. They might help you adjust them, refine them, ground them, but they don't need you to feel small so they can feel big. If someone had to dismantle your self-belief to feel safe in the relationship, that says something about them, not about your potential. I'm not going to tell you to quit everything and rebuild your life overnight. That's not how trust comes back, especially not self-trust. Instead, I want to invite something quieter, a small, honest look at where you stopped reaching because someone once taught you that reaching was shameful. You might gently ask yourself, is there an idea, a project, a path I still think about, even after all this time? When I imagine taking a tiny step towards it, whose voice shows up first, mine or theirs? You don't have to answer out loud. Just notice what stirs. You might also need to hear this. If someone had to crush your dream, it means there was a dream there. Something alive, something real, something worth their effort to destroy. It's evidence that, somewhere under all the control, you still knew you were meant for more than walking on eggshells around another person's insecurity. You are not obligated to stay small, because someone once needed you that way. Step by step, a thought explored, a page written, a tiny risk taken, you can begin to separate their verdict from your reality, loosening the grip of their voice over what you're allowed to want. Not all at once, not to prove anything to anyone, simply as a way of saying, quietly but firmly, To the part of you that still dreams, I hear you. You were never ridiculous, you were always real. And that, in itself, is a beginning.